You always see on sort of, social media or in just sort of, media, pop culture in general, when people get cured from cancer, they ring a bell.
Yeah.
No one brought a bell.
No bell ends.
No. No, well, there
A
might
few.
be. Yeah, wearing Gant shirts.
Very good. Hey, I'm Tom,
And I'm Andy.
and this is On the Node, a podcast about two best mates and one cancer journey. Andy, how are you, mate?
I am still fine,
Yeah.
just like I was yesterday, day before that, because we've been doing these consecutive filming sessions.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, at the time of airing, because I cannot see into the future, by the time we publish this, I might be feeling pretty crap. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Hoping you would have broken the back of it,
Yes.
as we spoke about in last episode. By the way, are we going to let the fans in on the secret of back-to-back recordings and outfit changes?
Well, only that you're wearing such a loud shirt that now that you've said the word outfit, we need to ask what's going on.
Well, look, I think this is a number that when I came in, you're like, is that Versace? Which I took as a bit of a compliment. The reality, Instagram versus reality, is it's Gant.
Which
The dad of all dad brands.
this is that they are tuning in now that you and our generation are becoming dads.
Correct.
They are Versaceing their way through their branding. 'Cause
Correct.
as I just said to you when you walked out, I didn't know that Gant didn't make, or I didn't know that Gant made things beyond pastel-coloured Oxford shirts.
No, well, clearly this is very un-Gant-like, but I purchased it in the UAE. So for any, folks out there, young dads who are kind of on the cutting edge of fashion trends, check out the Gant in Dubai Marina Mall. And you can kind of, walk out looking like me, you lucky things.
Well, it seems to be working for you anyway.
Yeah,
So and this is not an ad. We're just commenting
not.
on Gant.
Big up Gant. Anyway, on that note, we're talking about something positive today, right?
Yeah, I suppose. In the tale of this journey that we're all going through and walking people through, it's the wrap up of treatment. So what happened, on the day of, or the days that followed my final chemotherapy session for the AAVD I did in 2023.
AAVD. So, I guess before we get to that point, like, at what point psychologically are you thinking, okay, the finish line's well and truly in sight here?
I would say I never took my eyes off it.
Really? Okay.
And I think, as we talked about in the sort of mental health episode, I was already, that numerical number of how many cycles we've been through always plays on your mind and is a part of it. I would say the end is near was probably really on my mind when I finished the 11th infusion.
Out of 12.
Yeah, so because then right, there's only one more.
Yeah.
I've only got to feel this way 2 more times. Like the one I've just had, I'm going to feel crap for a few days. I have a few days off, and then I'm going to go in for that final one, and then that's it.
And what is that like, that final one?
It's just another day at the office, or another day at the clinic, as it were. So by this point, because we didn't really dive into this too much, but from my fifth or sixth infusion, I stopped going to hospital for them, and I was doing them from a chemo clinic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was just going into central Hong Kong.
Okay.
I'd see my doctor, he'd check me out, he'd sign me off. I'd basically cross the road to another building, and I sat in a room for 4 hours, and then I would go home straight afterwards.
Right.
So those days when I was stood outside waiting for a taxi, freezing, while wearing a hoodie in the May heat of Hong Kong, that was actually outside the clinic. So, I'd just go up there, and then I had the chemo, napped during the chemo, felt a bit rubbish, and went home again. It was kind of anticlimactic.
I
in
was
a way.
going to ask that. Was there anything that you thought about in your head that it might feel like, but actually didn't live up to those expectations?
Well, I don't know if it's a Hong Kong thing, and I don't really know at what point in time people do this in like other parts of the world. But
Yeah.
you always see on sort of, social media or in just sort of media pop culture in general, when people get cured from cancer, they ring a bell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No one brought a bell.
No, no, no bell ends.
No, no. Well, there
A
might
few.
be. Yeah, wearing Gant shirts. Um,
Very good.
But no bell was rung, and yeah, it just sort of happened.
Yeah. Did
But
it feel kind of significant at all? Or was it like,
it did in the way that Lan made it significant when I got home that day.
and how did she do that?
So again, context for our watchers, listeners. We were already engaged. I'd proposed to Lan
Yeah.
the summer before this. Almost a year before this all happened, and when I got home that day, I was honestly grumpy and miserable, like I was every time I finished chemo, just tired and wanting to crash out on the sofa. And Lan turns up with a box and tells me to open it. And I open it up, and there's a jade ring inside it. And she asked me, she essentially counter proposed. She said, "Will you marry me?"
I'll see you and raise you.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And she bought me this jade ring, beautiful piece of jewelry. Didn't unfortunately fit my fat fingers,
Right.
so I ended up wearing it, around my neck, close to my heart, basically.
Yeah.
It was white jade, so the symbolism behind that. There's multiple things about purity and things.
You're so pure, mate.
Well, at that point in time, I was very toxic with
Yeah.
all the stuff in my body. But the symbolism that Lan chose white jade for was around protection and health, and it was the idea of it was to protect me from that point on.
Hold that thought. We'll come back to it because I think that's a really interesting potential anecdote to finish the podcast on. But so you get home, and then I guess in the back of your mind, we talked about it in the sense that there are scans, right? In the back of your mind, you've got a scan coming up as well. Well, how soon after does that happen?
So it was either 2 weeks or a month afterwards. I should have checked my medical records before filming this to confirm, but it was not long after. And so essentially you go in for another PET scan after the treatment, and they check that the treatment continued working, because we already had that 2-month scan, which gave us really positive indications, and this is to kind of reconfirm that outcome, essentially.
And how are you feeling in the build up to that?
Anxious, of course, because you do read about cases where people had a positive first scan, and then the second scan doesn't give them the news or progress they expected. My doctor kept reiterating that the likelihood of that happening was pretty slim with my type of lymphoma, but at the end of the day, it's always a risk that your cancer doesn't respond or it appears somewhere else. And lymphoma has a horrible habit of mutating into other forms of, Hodgkin's lymphoma has a horrible habit of mutating into other forms of lymphoma and cancers. So there's always a chance something else has appeared. But for me, thankfully, it hadn't.
And so what does that process look like and feel like? So you have your PET scan, which is, how long does that take again?
It's about about half an hour.
Okay.
It takes 2 or 3 days for you to get the result.
And then how soon? Okay, 2 or 3 days. And then I guess that was that delivered to you face to face?
Yeah. So at this point in time, I still had my Hickman in, and I was being very closely monitored by my doctor during and post treatment, because all these things like making sure my white blood cell count was recovering, liver enzymes, all these sort of things that I was taking medication for. So I was still seeing him a couple of times a week, and then it sort of dropped down to once a week and things like that. So the news was delivered in an appointment that was set up to discuss that result. I can't remember what day of the week I had the scan, but let's say it was a Monday. I probably had the appointment on a Wednesday.
Was Lan with you there?
Of course. Yeah.
That's an amazing full circle, right? The fact that, for the reasons that we've discussed, she wasn't there for the diagnosis, but she was there, I guess, for the all clear.
I will tell you that Lan never missed a doctor's appointment after that. Yeah. She would so for chemo, she'd come with me to get me checked in, and then when I was sort of going napping, she might go off for a couple of hours and then come back and pick me up essentially. But she was there for every doctor's appointment after missing that diagnosis.
Well, I can only imagine. So what did the doctor actually say? Was he emotional? Not obviously emotional, but was he happy, or was it just a very factual, this is reality?
I love my doctor, and I think we've built a better, our relationship is
working relationship.
Our relationship has grown over the years, so he's now quite banterous with me and things like that. But certainly back then, it was very, and when it comes to more serious discussions, he's very matter of fact. Yeah. And so he used the term remission for the first time to say that you are in remission, which doesn't mean you're cured. Yeah. But it does mean that the disease is, slowed down or is stopped essentially. And for me, for lymphoma at least, there was no sign of the disease at that point in time.
And what's that feeling like when you receive that news?
Oh, it's relief more than anything. I think is that there's no elation. It's really? Kind of I don't think I don't really
for
remember.
You obviously.
Personally,
it's a personal thing.
Yeah, personally, I don't remember feeling elated because it was almost like it was expected. Yeah. And you kind of go through all of this suffering that for months, and you kind of go, well, better bloody be worth it. So all it is just
it's like revising really, really hard for an exam. Then you smashed the exam, and then when you actually get the result, it's a bit like, okay, yeah, I deserve that.
Yeah. He just missed a really good opportunity to sort of have a cricket analogy, but he didn't take it. So
well you
done.
Can always do it.
No. I think we point out that you didn't bite.
Mate, I'm elated when I score 100.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So it was just like a weight lifted more than anything. It was relief. It was the knowledge that I didn't have to go to chemotherapy again the following week. That kind of thing is.
Cool. So you get that. Is the beloved Hickman still with you at that point, or?
At the point of the scan, I believe it was. But then the moment that I got that news, he would then book me in to have it removed.
To rid yourself of the Hickman.
Yeah, which was just a 1-day overnight appointment in hospital.
And what is that? They just take it out, and do they stitch you up?
Yeah, so there's a hole in my chest, and therefore now I've got a scar. Unfortunately, he didn't use the same bloody hole this time around. He got a new scar, so
new hole.
Full of holes over here. But yeah, they I can't really put this that delicately. Essentially, he just pulls it out, and then just a bit of a yank. I'm sure it's more gentle than that, but it felt like a yank. And then they
anaesthetised the area?
I don't think they did.
Really? Did it not hurt?
Well, they're not cutting anything. All they're doing is pulling something that's
already inside.
So all I remember is...
It's like an ingrown hair or something. You just...
Yeah, but less satisfying and a bit more scary.
Yeah.
But they pull it out. Didn't have a vasovagal. Don't worry, guys.
Well done, mate.
And then they just put pressure where it exited the vein. So they don't put pressure on the chest where it's sticking out, because that's not the bleed risk. Because actually inside your body, the Hickman's like kind of in your neck here. Well,
your jugular.
The camera won't see it, but Tom might be able to see it. Like this is the Hickman here.
Yeah.
And it is the jugular.
Yeah.
And essentially they put pressure on your jugular vein, not your artery.
Yeah.
To stop the bleed. They press your neck basically for 10 minutes.
Right.
Then you sit there with a a dressing on your chest. I can't remember if I had a pressure pad or something around my neck for a bit, but that's it. It's then gone.
And then overnight
Monitoring.
Yeah, and then really that's probably when you feel the most freedom, right? When you're rid of that.
Yeah, correct. You just like obviously I still had this hole, and I had to get. I think they were dissolvable stitches, so I don't think I had to go back to get them removed. But I think I had to get the wound checked by the doctor a few days later, and then once that's completely healed, then life goes back to normal. Showering becomes easy again.
Yeah.
No more waterproofing. Running's back on the cards, except I can't feel my feet, so I fall over.
I can feel my feet when I'm here. Anyway, I know we're going to do an episode specific on life after chemo or life in remission.
Yes.
Really excited for that because I think we've got a few amusing stories to cover off. But
Probably.
Before we conclude this one, why don't we kind of circle back to the jade ring?
Yeah.
And I guess I only found this out today, but obviously that meant a lot to you. And you mentioned it signifies protection and stuff like that, and not to get too spooky about things, but tell us about what happened in December last year.
Yeah, so I'm not a particularly superstitious person. I'll put my hands up. But this one is a little bit, like you say, a bit creepy when you think about it. So the jade ring, as I mentioned, it symbolizes, or certainly the purpose in which Lan purchased it for me was to represent protection. And we were both on holiday in Vietnam for Christmas. We were with friends. We were staying with friends, and just I think maybe like the 27th or 28th of December this year, I was showering, and I honestly never took this chain off. So it was like a stainless steel chain. Never took it off, and I just heard this sort of ping noise in the shower, and I looked down. I saw my chain, and I go, "Oh, shit!" And then I started looking for the ring, and the ring had shattered into two. So it had broken, because it's not like dropping stainless steel. Jade is a stone, and it's quite fragile if you drop it. And so essentially, that day, and I remember at the time thinking, "Whew, something's protected me," because allegedly the whole thing is it's protected you from something. So that was weird, but the strangest bit is that 2 weeks later, so according to this ring, I had now lost my protection. 2 weeks later, I got the swelling on my neck again, and that then triggered a visit to the doctors, who was immediately concerned, booked me in for a scan, and the story we will tell another time is that I relapsed.
Man, that's mad.
So that's my creepy...
Do you still have the ring in two parts?
Yeah. We've talked about getting it repaired, but the protection's gone. Like in the spiritual culture that sort of believes this, the protection's gone once it's broken. So I need to get a new ring anyway, but that will be saved for another date and time.
Yeah. Wow, that is some way to finish.
Fun story to tell.
Yeah. Cool. That was it, right?
Yeah, that's everything for this week, and I think our next episode we will probably be deep diving into the topic of hair.
Follicles.
Or
lack thereof.
But not follicular lymphoma, which is a very different lymphoma.
Oh wow, I didn't even realise. Anyway, we'll end on that note.
All right.
Nice one. That was Tom.
And I'm Andy.
And that was On the Node.